Here I am. Here I am. That's what Abraham used to say. He would hear the Lord call out to him. Here I am. And Abraham seems so eager, so filled with faith, so trusting. Here I am. Here I am, Lord. So often we hear that in Genesis and read about that with him. Abram and Sarai say yes to the Lord. Abram becomes Abraham, Sarai becomes Sarah. They have a new identity with God. They're like they're close in. They feel very, very intimate and close to the Lord. Here I am. But this particular passage from our book of Genesis today, and I just wonder if there's maybe a little bit of sadness in Abraham. I mean, he's presenting himself to the Lord is calling, but the Lord has spoken to Abraham that he is asking Abraham to sacrifice his son. You know, it's interesting, a few chapters before, Abram and Sarai say yes to the Lord, and the Lord tells them that they will command a nation of people who are believers, and they will have numerous descendants. Some like to talk about as numerous as the stars of the sky, or as numerous as the grains of sand in the desert. Here I am, Lord. But how can they be? And then let's say then the Lord kind of cements this relationship with Abraham and Sarah. These people who will lead a great nation as parents of a nation of faith, send them a son, Isaac. They had no children to date. And then the Lord asks that Abraham sacrifice his son Isaac. You might wonder if he's really deeply torn inside. And still, he presents himself to the Lord, maybe with sadness, but still out of faithfulness and out of trust. And he does this. Now, we might sometimes wonder, well, what kind of God would ask us to do something like that? But let's not talk about that question today. That's a different question. And quite frankly, don't we tend to like happy endings? We want our stories all kind of tied up in a nice box with a bow, right? We often pole vault past all the details. We want to go right to the end where, well, you know, Isaac is safe. But a messenger comes. In the Old Testament, the messengers are usually angels. A messenger comes and tells Abraham, God is just so taken by your trust and your faithfulness, and your son is safe. Go instead sacrifice that ram that's kind of caught in the brambles. We remember that part of the reading. But maybe there's something for us to consider. And this is a message for us as we're in the early stages of Lent. Abraham and Sarah, in their close relationship with God, it's as if they developed a sense of detachment. Detachment from things around them. Things don't seem as important because everything they have is from God, and their trust is totally in God. And we think about our lives today. I mean, wouldn't we like to be detached? You know, detached from some stuff like this? Detached from all the really horrific events going on in the world around us at this time? Wouldn't we like to be detached from disease or worry or want? Instead, it seems that there are lots of things that tug at us, you know? Influence, power, accumulating things, accumulating riches. When we can be detached from things, we can devote ourselves to God. God will provide what we need. God will give us what we need. We don't have to worry about accumulating things in great silos. Instead, let's remember where the Lord is in the midst of all this. And during the Lenten season, that's a very quiet but underappreciated message. Because during Lent, we take time to look at how's my relationship with God? How's my relationship with my neighbor? What in my life needs to be changed? What in my life needs to be transformed? Is it time to shake off things that might hold me down, keep me back, keep me from really realizing what my relationship with God can be like? Can I take this chance to become detached from all those things that would kind of hold me back and hold me down, so instead that I can be there with the Lord genuinely, in a heartfelt way, in a way that is filled with integrity? If we're going to pole vault for a second, let's pole vault to the gospel for a second. Peter, James, and John, Jesus' companions, when he wants to really tell them something special, they go for a walk. Today they're going for a walk on the mountain. And they have this tremendous vision of the transfiguration. And Jesus tells them, do not relate to what you've seen to anyone, except when the Son of Man has been raised from the dead. Now, so many times in our Gospels in Mark, people get healed, and Jesus says, don't tell anybody about this, and they go and spill the beans everywhere. Don't they? But then again, how can you take such great news and contain that? But what did the disciples do? They kept the matter to themselves, questioning what rising from the dead meant. They kept the matter to themselves. In other words, they're trusting in Jesus. Jesus asked them not to do it. They may not understand why, but they honor his request. Their closeness is growing with every incident, every verse as they walk deeper and deeper into Matthew's gospel, and they find themselves becoming more trusting of Jesus. And we see where this takes them as his journey to Jerusalem moves to its ultimate destiny about life and death and new life. And that's our story too, isn't it? So let's take the experience of Abraham and the growing and deepening experience of the disciples and think about how in Lent that we can find some value in becoming a bit more detached from all the things that are going on around us. Hey folks, that's the way so when we're ready to say, here I am, Lord, we're really meaning it.